Hi, I'm Monica Louie from our debtfreefamily.com, and today I'm going to share how Marian Wynn and her husband paid off $120,000 of debt in 3 years. I love sharing these debt success stories with you because one of the main motivators for my husband and me when we started our debt free journey was hearing about the success of another family who paid off an enormous amount of debt. I met Marian when she joined my Facebook group recently, and I was so impressed when she shared just how much debt she and her husband had paid off that I knew I wanted to interview her so I could share her story with you. In this interview, Marian shares why she and her husband decided to get out of debt, how they got out of debt so quickly, and what they're doing now to teach their kids smart money habits. She also shares how they kept themselves motivated even when they wanted to give up, and her advice for you if you're digging yourself out of debt. So here is my interview with Marian Wynn. Hi, Marian. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to learn more about your story and to share it with everyone. So, can you please start off by introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about yourself?
My husband and I, of 10 years, live in Morgan Hill, California. So that's in the south end of the Bay Area. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with that area or not, but that's where we live, and we have two kids and almost eight and almost six. So pretty much me. So yeah.
So, married and two kids. So, why did you and your husband decide to become debt free?
So back in 2008, I think the turning point for us was when, I looked at our bank account and we had like $10 left in our bank account, you know? And it's like we make decent money, and where is it all going? And we were living paycheck to paycheck. And so I was getting really sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck and not being able to just buy just anything. I'd go to the store and be like, oh, that's so cute, or just buy something. And it's like, oh, I can't because we don't have the funds for it. Can't buy that because we don't have the funds for it. You can't buy that. So I was getting really tired of, of bringing home the check and knowing that those checks that and the hours that we put in to earn that money wasn't ours. We'd bring home a check, but it wasn't ours because it was already accounted for by this bank or that credit card or that bill or this, right? So it was getting really frustrating because we got ourselves into more than $120,000 in debt. So it was not fun, So when we had $10 left in the bank, and it's like, okay, what are we doing here? We got to change. We got to do something different because this is not working.
So, did you have a talk with your husband at that point? Or did you both come to that decision together, or was it one of you more than the other, and then you had to get the other person on board?
Um, we both knew what we were doing, but I was more stressed out about it probably than my husband. Um, he, but he kind of goes along with whatever he's pretty easygoing.
Yeah.
But but when I told him, but he knew that we were because he would bring home the check and he was like, where's all the money? Where is it all going? So I was like, well, this bill, that bill, it's and same thing. If he wanted to buy something or he wanted to go he wanted to go on trips. So well, we can't. We don't have money. So when it was like, we got to do something about it. We got to get out of debt. It wasn't. I didn't have to convince him to do anything.
So he was.
Or yeah, he was on. He understands. We pretty much. I'm fortunate because he and I share the same goals and visions for the future. So
Mhm.
yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned over $120,000 of debt. So how much of that did you pay off, and what kind of debt was it?
Um, it was mostly credit cards and car loans. So there was my husband had a little bit of a student loan, but it wasn't that much. It was for like 6,000 out of the 120, so it wasn't that much at all. Um, but we paid it all off. We paid everything off.
Wow, that is
We
awesome.
started in 2008, the end of 2008, and it probably took us about 3 years to pay that off. And my at the time when we first started, I was a stay-at-home mom. I had my second kid at that time, and it he was probably making his base was probably about a little bit over 100,000. Um, so he worked a lot. He worked in a lot of extra shifts. He picked up a lot of overtime. And then a year into that, when my son was a year, I went back to work. So and then that kind of that helped out a lot between 80 and 90. So that helped a lot.
So you were extremely intense then, because that's a lot of debt to pay off in 3 years.
Yeah.
And so when you started, you were staying at home,
Mhm.
and your husband, what kind of work was he doing?
Firefighter.
Firefighter. Okay. So then he was able to pick up extra shifts to bring in extra income, and then you went back to work, and what were you doing?
A nurse.
Nurse. Okay. So
Yeah.
then did you also work a lot of overtime to bring in extra income as well?
No, it was more because I was whatever shifts I can do, and then being home with the kids.
Hmm.
And it was him that was working all the extras overtime. So I mean, sometimes he would be gone for like um, 5 days in a row, 6 days in a row, because he'd just go back to back to back. So we wouldn't see him for a very long time. So
Hmm.
that was hard. That was hard as well with being home with the two little ones. Um, but yeah, we wanted to get out of debt, so we did whatever we could.
So did you set that goal to pay it off in 3 years, or you just wanted to be intense and see how fast you could do it?
Pretty much, yeah. But I put together a little spreadsheet. We're like, okay, this month we're gonna pay off this credit card, and if we did, because we use the debt snowball
Hmm.
strategy or method.
Hmm.
So we pretty much I just kind of outline and it's like, all right, this is gonna take us this. I think it actually even took us faster because towards the end, we just threw everything into the debt.
Yeah.
So
So you built up momentum along the way.
yeah, in the beginning it was hard
Yeah.
because I wasn't getting any traction. It's like this is taking forever. Can you imagine? It's like $120,000. I mean, I know some people. I've heard of some people who were like in $300,000 in debt, and I can't even imagine that. But some people who are 20, 30, which is a lot for them.
Hmm.
And comparing my 120, I was like, oh my gosh, we were crazy. I don't know what we were thinking.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a lot of money, and it is. And so, because what we found is that we couldn't get, when we decided to get out of debt, we couldn't get caught up in, how much farther we had to go. We had to figure out how we could build momentum fast. And so that was our strategy. And so it sounds like you didn't really pay attention to, how big and scary the goal was. It was just you knew you had to do something to move
Yeah.
forward.
Oh no, I mean, I that number was in front of me every day, but we just had to do it.
Because
Um,
you considered the alternative of not getting out of debt.
right, because it's like we make decent money. We make good money. So, but yet we can't live the lifestyle that we want.
Hmm.
So we can't live like this anymore. So yeah, that's when we decided it's like we have to do it. That's
So you got organized, sounds like, with the debt snowball method. And then did you have like a budget that you were maintaining?
um no, we just cut out whatever we didn't need, and I kind of went on a spreadsheet and say, okay, this is our bills that are needed to pay every month, and then we went through all the expenses that was miscellaneous like cable and things that we could live without.
Mm-hmm.
So we cut that. Whatever we can go through it, I cut down. Actually, I went through and I listed out all my expenses and say, okay, how can we cut all these expenses? So we cut what we could, and then I pretty much got like what was my base expenses for the month,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then whatever's extra can go to the credit card and to the debt.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any fancy way of budgeting or anything like that. I was like, all right, we didn't have a budget. We just said spend as little as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't a budget where, okay, this is this much to food and this much. I mean, we do that now, but back then it was just if we don't need it, we're not buying it. So, and then whatever else, no trips, no nothing. Um, Friends invited us to go out to eat or to go out and hang out. Our family would be like, come on, let's go do this or watch a movie. I was like, no, we can't. So it was like that for 3 years. It was hard.
So did you tell your friends and family what you were doing and why you were saying no?
Sometimes, some people, I would say, I guess most of them would. We would just say, we have a lot of debt and we need to pay it off. So we can't afford it. We have no money and we can't afford it. We got to pay off our debt first. It's always we got to pay our debt first. We got to pay off our debt first.
So you were clear about that was the priority.
Yeah, yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
So now today, you paid off. You started in 2008. You paid it off in 3 years. So by 2011, you were debt free from the credit cards, student loans, and the cars.
Yeah.
And so then, where do you stand today in 2016?
Well, and then 2011, yeah. So then 2 more years, because what helped also, we were living in a house at that time, so it didn't help because our mortgage was like almost $4,000 that we had to pay. So when you say our expenses and what we bring in, it pretty much evens out because of where we live. I mean, that doesn't help where we live. It's a pretty expensive area, but we after we paid off our debt, we actually moved in with my brother to help save some money. So with living with my brother and our two kids, and it's tight quarters, and so I was okay with it for the most part. But my husband was really anxious to get out of there, so he was pretty intense. Even after we paid off our debt for the next 2 years to save up enough money for a down payment for a house. So we own our own home now. We were able to save up enough money in the 2 years, and so we bought our home in 2013. So now we've been living here for about 3 years, debt free, and the ultimate goal, is to pay off the house. So, but we've been able to relax a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and enjoy it a little bit more. So we've been able, and we have an emergency fund. Something that we've never had before. So we've been able to, we just actually got back from a Disney cruise. So that was our big trip that we've been planning for a little while and saving up money for. The next thing is saving up for a car. We need a bigger car. So we're going to save up and buy it with cash.
Very nice.
So however long that takes. And then after that, we're going to work on making extra payments on the house
Very
so that we
nice.
can start off. Yeah.
So you want to pay that off early. That's great. So you were renting before. I just want to clarify. So you were renting before, but then you didn't really have room in your budget to make extra payments towards the debt with that situation. So that's why you moved in with your brother to save on the living expenses.
No, we actually owned the home.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
We owned the home. We ended up having to short sell it
Oh, okay.
because we couldn't make it. We couldn't make the payments. So we ended up short selling it, but we did own it. And it was one of those where we bought it in 2007 or where it was peak, right?
Right.
So our loan was like a crazy loan. It was like I don't know. I don't remember. It was like an interest only loan, or we were like yes, we want a house, So we got into it, and I say our mortgage was like $3,600, I think, or something like that. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we did own it. We had to short sell it, moved in with my brother, and so that helped free up some of the money and all the extra overtime they were able to just throw it out the debt.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in California, I'm sure like that wasn't an outrageous, mortgage payment for that area.
Yeah,
Probably
I
pretty
mean,
typical.
no, but the thing is that because we didn't put any money down,
Mm-hmm.
so that made it worse. But then, I mean, even our house now, um, it's about the same price as what we had bought before, but now we have no debt and we have wiggle room, So it's still going to take us a little bit to pay it off.
Mm-hmm.
So with the house with the way because the range is between here where we're at 700,000-800,000 for it around here. So it's like, gosh, I was marching it out how long it would take us to pay off the house, and we are like, okay, you'd have to work this many extra shifts to pay it off in this many years. So my husband right now is not as motivated to pay off the house
Well,
as was when he had to pay off the debt. Because
right.
right now he's comfortable. We're comfortable. So if anything, it's more I want to pay off the house, and he does too. But I'm more, you know, anxious to get started on making payments on the house.
Well, you're in a great spot though because you've worked hard to pay off the other debt and then you saved up for the down payment, so you've got equity in your home and you were able to save up for the vacation
Right.
and now you're saving up for the car. So I love how, you know, you've got your priorities in order and you're taking it step by step. This is where our money, our focus for our money is going, and this is what's important to us. And so what's great is that think about how much money, when you do buy that car, how much money you're not going to be paying in interest
I
when
know
you pay it
exactly.
in cash.
That was the part that tore me, that got me the most, was all that extra money that we were paying on our credit card in interest
Mm-hmm.
that we didn't need to. It's like all this wasted money, you know. So that was a motivation to like get it done faster, so that I didn't have to pay anybody any extra money.
That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah,
that's exactly, one of the motivating factors for us too is that we don't want to pay any interest if we don't have to. And we
right,
know that we're in control of that.
right,
So,
right.
yeah.
And when I look at the interest that we're paying extra on our house, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just crazy. I don't even think about it because I mean, I mean, interest on your house is a little bit different than on the credit card, um, but it's like, that's a lot of money we can be using for something else.
Well, at least at this point, you, like I said, you purchased the house with a down payment, so you've already got equity into the home, and then as the economy rebounds and everything, then you can expect that the value of the home will continue to increase, and so then that'll give you even more equity. So to me, that's a better thing to take out a loan on than purchasing some shoes or whatever it was on the credit card.
Right. I feel pretty good about where we're at right now. I
Yeah,
mean, we've gone along, we've come a long ways, and we're definitely not going back at all. So everything is as much as we pretty yeah, I mean, we're pretty much sticking to it. Like, if we can't afford it, we don't have the money for it, we're not going to get it.
that's
So
great.
we've been disciplined.
And so with your kids, have you begun to teach them about making wise choices with money?
Oh yeah, they have work. We call them, well, chores or work. They have a
Mm-hmm.
reward chart that they do work for, and we compensate them with money. So they know they save. They have, and we use the Dave Ramsey, the piggy banks thing. So they have a save, they have a spend, and they have a give. So they use that. So each time they get something, they split up into those three banks, and then every once in a while, when it kind of have enough in their spend, we'll take them out to like Target or a store, and then they buy stuff with their own money. So they know. I'm trying to teach them to save and to spend. I mean, they have to spend as well, but to be able to work for the money, because it's not easy. It doesn't come free.
That's right. That's great. That's a great method to use with the kids and teach them the importance of, saving their money, but also enjoying it and giving some of it to help others.
I think we're at a really pretty good we're good. I'm spot now. I'm happy with where we're at. I just now, if I could just pay off the house, it'll be nice.
Well, I want to help you celebrate when you get your house paid off. So, what advice do you have to people just starting out on their debt free journey or they're considering starting on their debt free journey?
The advice I would have for them is just keep keep the eye on the prize at the end. You know, it's going to be a very long and frustrating and a lot of times very discouraging because you feel like you're not getting any traction and you're going to be presented with a lot of distractions and temptations that will, take you off track. So you just have to keep the end in mind, and most of all, you have to work together. Like if you're married, you have to both be on board and work towards the same thing. Because I remember a lot of times I was very I had my moments where I was depressed and discouraged and I didn't want to do anything. I was like, this is not working out. Our life sucks and I hate this. I hate our life. I hate our situation. And he had to, you know, bring me up. Um, and vice versa. So sometimes, because he's working all the extra hours, and he's not seeing the traction either or something, then I would then say, okay, look, this is what we're doing. This is what we have. I'd show him the numbers and stuff, and show him that we're on track, and we just have to keep at it, and then we have to keep each other accountable, right? So it's like, oh, I want to get this. Well, remember, it's like we can't. We don't need it. It's okay. We don't need it. We don't need to go. We'll go when we're done. We'll plan a big trip when we're done or something. So keep the end in mind, and you really have to work together.
That's great.
If you're with somebody, yeah.
That's great advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, what is the best part of your debt free journey?
The best part, I was thinking about this one. Um, I don't, I mean, like I said, it wasn't fun. I mean, I didn't enjoy any moment, I didn't enjoy the whole time at all. I mean, but if I were to be happy about anything throughout the process was um, seeing each credit card, paying off each credit card as we go. Like, okay, that's done. That has a zero balance. I'm going to close that one. And, because we had I think we had 10 altogether. So it was like, okay, that's gone. That's gone. And so the momentum of like, okay, that one more is gone. One more is gone. Was probably the only thing that I can see, that I can remember that was, that was good about the process, about the journey, that I was happy about. But yeah, I mean, like, is that what you mean by the best part of the
Well,
journey? Or
so did you celebrate with each one? Did you do something?
nope.
Give each other a high five?
Yeah, pretty much. We're like, yes, we're having traction. We're getting there. We're getting there. So no, I mean, because like I say, I mean, I know we probably should have, um, but we were just like, no, let's get it done. You know, we didn't want to spend any more than we had to, right?
Hmm.
To celebrate anything. So it was like, nope, it's just keep on going to the next one and the next one and the next one. Um, yeah.
And is there anything else that you would like to share?
So we had a lot of debt, but we were fortunate to have a decent job that pays decent, but it was still hard.
Hmm.
It was still a lot compared to our expenses that we had versus and the debt that we had. So it was still very hard, but I think if you just we put our mind to it and we just wanted it done. Like we had a bigger why, um, and that just pushed us forward. But yeah, I mean, I'm just glad I'm here. It's all worth it. It's so worth it because I can go down the street, or not down the street, but go out to the mall and be like, the kids want this, and we're like, yeah, we have room. We can do it. I don't have to like worry. I don't have to like. I mean, I still look at the price tag, and
Hmm.
one day I'd love to not shop and not have to look at a price tag, but I can get it for them. Or if I wanted to buy like a shirt, but like, yeah, you know, I can do it this month. You know, I don't have to like, oh, can't afford it, can't afford it. I hate that word. Can't afford it. I hate having to say that. Can't afford it, can't buy it, can't buy it. So it's worth it. I'm a lot less. I'm not stressed out. We're good. Like I said, if I can say anything, just push through it. Um, just it's gonna be tough, and you're not gonna like your life for a few years. But now you'll be able to enjoy it later on after you're all done.
So it's worth it in the end.
It's definitely worth it in the end.
So when you made your last debt payment, how did you celebrate? I assume.
I don't remember. You know what? Surprisingly, I don't remember. I mean, I remember I was like, told my husband, we're, I just, we're debt free. It's just like surreal. It's like we're debt free. It didn't even like dawn on like really hit us until like a couple months later when we're like, oh, you know, the checks came in. And we're like, we get to keep this, you know? It wasn't like, oh, you know, we were like, yes, high five, we did it, right? And then that was it. That's all I remember. I don't remember we were making such a big deal out of it, but it was just like we're out of debt. We're out of debt. You know, it's like because then right after that we were saving for the down payment.
Mhm.
So it was still we were still in that mode, you know, of saving money. Whatever money we had left went towards the down payment of the house. So yeah, it wasn't a huge oh, you know, we went out and celebrated or anything like that. We probably went out to dinner or to eat or something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, it wasn't a huge old thing. But I just couldn't believe it that we did it because in the beginning it was like impossible. It felt like it was impossible because we weren't going anywhere.
Mhm.
Because you know when you make a minimum payment, it's like $50 out of $50 out of $100 or $200 out of $120,000, like nothing, you know. So, but it happened, and we still can't believe it. But no,
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Marian.
yes, of course, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thanks again to Marian for sharing your story with us. And now I'd love to hear from you. What did you learn from Marian and her debt free story? And what tips and advice can you implement in your financial life? Please share in the comments below. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel and I would be honored if you would share this with your friends. And I invite you to join me in our private Facebook group called Your Debt Freedom Family. We've got an awesome community of people like Marian who are kicking debt to the curb so they can break free and live life on their terms. Just head over to ourdebtfreefamily.com/yourfamily to join. I'd love to see you there. Remember, keep moving forward toward your goals. You really can live the life you dream about. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.